it was, what's that called? Fermenting. So the custom was the standard. Everybody liked it a little bit differently, but the standard was 3 parts water to 1 part wine. It really diluted the stuff. It was undrinkable otherwise, and so it's still considered wine, even though it's diluted with water. Thank you, Benjamin. But nowadays we don't do that anymore. For some reason, our grapes are not so concentrated. And when almost all the wines that I know, every winery, everyone said they don't add any water.
You said this isn't the time to drink water.
Yeah.
We have different grapes.
It could be the grapes are from we have grapes from France and all kinds of Cabernet and Merlot. It must have been a different species, a different strain of grape. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But whatever it is, so today, some people though, even the wine that we get is too strong for them. Most wines are 13%, but some people don't like that much alcohol content. They water it down. Is it still called wine? So the bottom line is that yes, you can add a little bit of water. And in the times of the Gemara, they had like 6-1. Or 3, like we said, 3-1 was standard. 6-1, it's still considered wine, but we follow the rule of thumb is that majority, 50%. So you can add lots of water, even though our wine is not so concentrated. You don't have to add water. Most people don't. But if you want to add a little bit, you can, and it's still called wine if it's more than 50% wine. L'chaim, we should have some wine here. We've been learning about Borei Minei Mezonot and Ala Michya, so it cost me a lot of money. Every day I bought wafers. The truth is, yesterday we learned about pizza, and I should have ordered a pizza, but that's it. I have a budget, But wine, we should go get some wine, like a l'chaim. Is everybody over age? 21? 20. See that? I can't because of you. You're my excuse. What's that? Oh, 18. Okay.
80% water.
Okay, let me just give my son a bracha.
Finish college.
All right. See you soon. A couple days. All right. Great. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Off to the front. Hopefully it'll be quiet. Although, yes, Baruch Hashem. The chances are good, but
Now they have
yeah. Zat Hashem will be fine. He's actually getting out next week for another little break, and then he's going in for a month.
When is he getting? When's the wedding?
A couple months. We don't know yet. Probably in the springtime. So just got engaged. So we haven't worked out all the details yet. Yes, please bring Sidurim.
He's engaged.
He's engaged.
No.
Yes. One for me. I have one.
He's the last one.
He's the last one. Completes our set of 4. I like the games with sets. So I gotta get in the set. Okay. So as I said,
How many grandchildren you have?
how many grandchildren? 5. Can I know? Yeah, I know 5. Yeah. Bezrat Hashem.
What is it?
Great granddaughter?
Great.
You have a great granddaughter. Amazing. Wow. What a blessing. What a wonderful thing. Not everybody has children or grandchildren or great grandchildren. It's even more rare. But, you're very You're a very rich man, Binyamin. I don't know what you have in your bank account, but that's not important. You're rich. You're rich.
It's gone.
That's all gone. Okay. But your children will take care of you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll take care of you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Okay, so open up to page 107. Hang on. Where's the bracha on the wine?
107.
You see that? Is there a bracha on the wine there? There is. 107.3, I think you mean. Boy Priya that's right. But I'm looking for one more. Because we're going to learn some special laws. That there's a second bracha. See, wine is very special, guys. Okay, I found it. It's on page 1081. 1081. Turn there for a moment, and we're going to get there in just a minute. And obviously, the bracha on wine, we mentioned it earlier, that if you eat a grape, the bracha, what's the bracha on grapes? Boy Priya 8. Goes from the grape. From the tree. But if you take that grape and you crush it, you see this amazing feature of grape as opposed to every other fruit in the world. It has a very high sugar content, and in the skin, there's a little bit of yeast. Is that what it is? And it makes it ferment. If you just crush it and you leave it, it ferments. And then you get this alcoholic drink called wine, which I think Noach discovered it first in the Torah. And it's very dangerous. That shows us that it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, in Tehillim we read in chapter 104, V'yayin yisamach levav enosh. Wine gladdens the heart. It's an amazing feature. You get together and you want to celebrate. The alcohol gives you a nice feeling. And Hashem created it as part of the world for us to enjoy. We're not like the Muslims who say any alcohol is forbidden. On the other hand, of course, the first story about alcohol in the Torah is a warning to us not to get drunk. Drunkenness can lead to all sorts of depraved behavior and manipulation, like we had with Noach and his son. And the Talmud goes on at length to describe, based also on the Nevi'im, the prophets themselves, in Mishlei and Kohelet. There is a psukim that speak about the dangers of being drunk. You don't want to drink away your life. Live a life in stupor, and it leads to many impropriety, many different types of impropriety. On the other hand, every Shabbat we're supposed to make kiddush on wine with alcohol. So we like to say that we have a healthy attitude, and this is a good balance. If you use the wine as a part of your spiritual life, and it's in measure. You don't drink every day. You drink for Shabbat. You make it a part of a holy service. That's one way we can make sure that we're not going to get overwhelmed and pulled down by the dangers of alcohol. It's not a perfect system. I've heard that there are some Orthodox Jews who become alcoholics and get addicted, and that's a danger. So you got to be aware of that. On the other hand, we also don't want to refrain from the pleasures that Hashem created in the world. And you know what the best proof of that is? That, like I said, kiddush on wine. We don't. When else do we have a cup of wine? Purim. Pesach. How many cups on Pesach? How many cups on Pesach? How many glasses of wine on Pesach? 4 cups of wine. When else do we have a cup of wine in the Jewish ritual? I just mentioned it yesterday. We practiced it.
Yes. Yom Kippur.
Yeah, we didn't practice Brit Milah yesterday, but we do have a cup of wine when we do make a Brit Milah. What else? That's what I was looking for. We just did it yesterday. If you have the custom is that 10, but some people even do when you have 3 people together and you have a zimun, you do the Birkat Hamazon holding a cup of wine. Gives gravitas to the bracha, to the praise of Hashem. You praise him with a cup of wine. It's like raising a toast. Can I have a toast to my son? Everybody raise your glasses of wine, please. Chaim Tov U'Mol Shalom. Pretend. That's it. That's it. You're raising your phone. You could have a picture of a glass of wine on your phone and you raise the phone. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol na'eh b'dvaro. The truth is, we've been leaving out the rituals that we don't see every day. Because it's since year 70, what don't we see? This was part of the ritual, part of the offerings in the Beit HaMikdash. Was libations of wine. So wine is a very central part in our worship of Hashem. Hashem wants us to worship Him with the highest liquid, the most sublime beverage in the world is considered to be wine. Personally, I have a penchant for whiskey, but that's all right. Beer, all the good stuff. But, of course, we keep it in check, right? Never drink alone. It's like you never swim alone. You always have to have the buddy system. Also, you got to be careful. In any case, wine has a special status as the most important beverage because of its history, because of the psukim we mentioned, because it was used in the temple service, because until today we use it in our holy rituals. And it's a mitzvah to make kiddush on wine. It's a mitzvah to have a cup of wine when we get married. Just last night I was at a wedding. Mazal tov. Old friend of my daughter's. We know her for 15 years. She finally got married. She's 29 or something. And we're so close that she invited us to the wedding, even though we're her friend's parents. So it's a real treat to be there. Cup of wine, even 2 cups of wine under the chuppah. One for the first part of the chuppah, one for the second part of the chuppah, and then another cup of wine for the Birkat Hamazon, special Birkat Hamazon. There's 10 people. So there's not only is there a bracha on the wine, there's another 6 brachot that make up a total of 7, Sheva brachot. So there's wine used everywhere. Baruch Hashem, it was a nice wedding. L'chaim tov u'mol shalom. So wine has a few special, it has a special bracha. Like I said, if you eat grapes, bar prates. If you turn the grapes into wine, it gets elevated to like a new status. It's like a new, different food stuff. And the bracha is borei pri hagafen or hagefen or hajafen. Different pronunciations. Okay, there's some Yemenites say gimel, jimel, yeah, hajafen, yeah, jimel. There's a rimel. There's all different pronunciations of the gimel. So we say gimel. Simple, but we know that it's wrong. Not that it's wrong, but that it's a little bit lacking because there's a gimel with a dot in it and a gimel without a dot in it. There's a dagesh in 6 letters in the Hebrew alphabet: beged, kefet, bet, gimel, dalid, kaf, pei, and taf. So for bet, there's a vet. We know that without the dot, right? And for chaf and kaf, pei and fei, right? Taf and saf in modern Hebrew. But the gimel and the dalid, gimel and gimel, we don't have in the pronunciation that we use. That's based on the Sephardic pronunciation. But the Ashkenazim also, they don't have a difference between a gimel with a dot or without a dot. But the Yemenites preserve it, and so I think with a dot it's jafen, and without a dot it's gafen. Yeah, something like that. Gafen. And the dalit also, they have 2 different types of dalits. The dalit's more like a th, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Some people try to pronounce it today when you're
Like, in an old
speaking.
book, they call it the sevens. The
Hmm.
7 letters of
7 doubles.
with the doubles.
7 doubles. I thought it was 6. Where's the 7th?
The dalet, the gimel, the kaf, the
Taf.
the taf.
What's the 7th?
Might have been the 6th.
I think it's 6. I think it's 6. The truth is, this comes from the earliest Jewish book, perhaps ever. What do you think is the earliest Jewish book?
Torah.
You might have. I was expecting you to say the Torah. Sefer Yetzirah gives it a run for its money. According to some traditions, it comes from Avraham Avinu. Well, it predates Moshe. So, anyways, there's a book called the Book of Creation, Sefer HaYetzirah. It's a Kabbalistic book. It's very hard to understand. It's a short book, but it's very, very ancient. And it's full of Kabbalistic secrets and sort of like innuendo of all sorts of mystical realities that we don't really, the layman can't understand it, let's put it that way. But it does speak about, this is the way it starts. It says, the world was created with Sfar, V'Sipur, V'Sefer. 3 versions of the letters Samech, Pei, and Resh. Can mean numbers, can mean story, can mean book. And then it says, Lamed Bet Netivot Chochma. Wait a minute, are you ready? We're studying Kabbalah. Are you ready? Did you go to the mikveh?
No.
Did you do tshuva? Right now, do tshuva. That's it. Give yourself a little chatati. I've sinned. That's it. That's the essence of tshuva. Okay, we're starting fresh. You can learn Kabbalah. Okay, no sins attached, no bad stuff. Starting a new page. 32 paths of wisdom. What are the 32 paths of wisdom? Anybody? Well, it then talks about 10 sfirot, 10 spiritual methods, you can say, or attributes of God, or the way He works in the world. You might have heard of them. Chochmah Bina V'Dat, right? Chesed Gvur Tiferet Netzachot Yisod Malchut. Won't get into it right now. That's 10. What does that leave us with? If those are 10 out of the 32, how many letters are left? How many? 22 letters. So the 32 is composed of the 10 plus 22. And then it says the 22 get divided up into, I can't remember everything off by heart. I think it's 11 elementals, meaning ones, 3 mothers, and I think it speaks about the 6 doubles. And the 6 doubles, this is what they mean. The Beged Kefet, the Bet Gimel Dalet, who they're like one letter, but it has 2 different sounds. So they're called doubles. Anyways, Geffen, some people pronounce it Jeffen. There's a restaurant in town, I think it's called Japan. I don't think it has anything to do with wine. They serve sushi.
Oh, I don't get that. I don't get the Jewish world and their obsession.
Sushi, huh?
I guess it's like an easy part of snack.
Maybe, I don't know. A lot of people like sushi.
In America, it's like they have a combination. Like you can get pizza and sushi at the same place.
There are places like that here. East and West mix. But don't try to give me pizza flavored sushi. Don't do that.
Why not?
It's key lime. Key lime is forbidden mixtures. You're just not allowed. East and West is just.
I love key lime.
Oh!
Key lime pie? You don't like key lime pie?
Key lime pie. What's that?
You've never had key lime pie?
What does it mean?
From Key West, because there's a special line that goes out for the.
Is that right?
It's the pie of Key West.
Cool.
You drive out from Miami to Key West.
Is that right?
The pie.
The key lime pie.
Key lime pie.
That's cool. Kilayim is a Hebrew word, which means forbidden mixtures.
Oh, really?
Yes. I was actually talking about the Hebrew word, kilayim, which is a pasuk in the Torah And it says, for example, you're not allowed to graft, an apple onto an orange tree, or you're not allowed to plow your field with an ox and a donkey together.
What?
Together. It's a good question. Why?
What if you really
Not fair enough.
There's 4 types of kilayim, 4 types of forbidden mixtures. What's another one?
Mixed seeds.
Mixing seeds. So you plant a grapevine together with some wheat. Ouch. That's forbidden. You got to uproot the whole orchard. That's the bad news. That's called kilayim. Kilayim. It's forbidden mixtures. Another one?
2 different directions. Fine, right? I don't know.
Why? It's a question. But what's the other type of kilayim?
Different types of thread. Clothes.
Yeah. That's right. You cannot make a clothing out of wool and linen together. Sha'atnez. So the official name for that in the Torah is kilayim. And the sages call it sha'atnez. It's a good question of why. Some people say it's an acronym for Shua, Tavui, Venuz. Rashi brings that on the Torah. That it's Shatnez is made up of 3 different types of sort of combinations. Like, what does it mean together? Wool and linen. So Shua, I think, is when it's like padded, like felt, pressed together. Tavui is, of course, woven, and Nez. I can't remember what Nez is. But in any case, there's different types of kilayim. So I think having the sushi and the pizza, that's going to be a problem of forbidden mixtures. Kilayim pie. I like that. Kilayim pie.
You've never heard of key lime pie?
I never have. All these years.
You lived in Boston?
No, I never lived in Boston. No, I'm not from Boston.
I thought you said you were from Boston.
Toronto.
Oh, Toronto.
I'm too nice to be from Boston, right? No, Bostoners are nice too. Anyways, I'm Canadian. Canadians are nice, right? Let's see. Are Canadians nice? Super nice.
I don't know.
For sure, eh?
Have you ever met a French Canadian?
Those are not real Canadians. That's a whole different. That's kilayim. That's forbidden mixtures. Back to wine. Wine comes from grapes. Grapes that ferment, and you make this delicious, special beverage, the most special beverage. And so it gets its own bracha. It's so special, I want to teach you some more halachot about that. We already started to say that, it's got to be at least 50% from the grapes. And the custom is, even if it doesn't ferment, like, what do we call that? Grape juice. Grape juice, in Hebrew, they have a word for it. They chose a word. You'll see it on the... Everybody open your Siddur to the Shema. That's on page 99? No, page 159. 159. There's 3 Hebrew words you should know on line 4. 159, line 4. We've been talking about yayin, right? This is wine. Yayin. There's another word for yayin in the Torah, and it appears on line, what did we say, line? 4. Do you see the first 3 words? Deganecha, from right to left, right? On page 159, line 4. Deganecha, what does that mean? What's dagan? We talked about chameshet minei dagan, the 5 types of grain. So dagan is grain. And the next word is vetiroshecha. So tirosh is wine. It's another word for wine. In modern Hebrew, what they sort of made a standard is that wine is called yain. And tirosh is the word we use for grape juice. So if you go to the store and ask for tirosh, they'll give you grape juice. It's also made, I think most grape juices are also made from almost 100% grapes. Some of them add sugar, some of them, add water, but not much. So it's grape juice. Does it have the special bracha? It's not fermented. It's not alcoholic. It doesn't have that. Doesn't make you happy. Like it makes you happy if you're a little kid and you like sweet things. So it has the very much sweetness. So you're right. The bottom line is consensus today is that most poskim allow you to make the bracha borei pri hagafen even on grape juice, even though it's not alcoholic. Some people can't. They can't stand alcohol, and so they use grape juice every week for kiddush. Sorry? Miskinim. They're not appreciating the finer points of life, Shmuel says. All right. But listen, if somebody has a problem with alcohol, if they can't control themselves, by all means, so use grape juice the rest of your life. No problem. More important not to go off, and hurt yourself or hurt others with alcohol than to, enjoy your glass of wine. But most people, if you have some guidance, can learn to appreciate wine. Anyways, tirosh is another word for wine. So you say it every day in your Shema, hopefully. V'tiroshecha, and what's the third word on the line? V'yitzharecha. On page 159, fourth line, word number 3. V'yitzharecha. So what's yitzhar? So we said, dagan is grain. Dagan is grain. Dagan, tirosh, and the third one is called yitzhar. Yitzhar has the word tohar in it. Tohar, you should know the word from. It's similar. The tzadi and the zayin do switch. Zohar is with the zayin, this is with the tzadi. But it is similar meaning. Tohar is used by Noach. God tells Noach when you build the ark and make a tzohar in it.
Oh.
What's a tzohar?
Window?
A window. Some people say it was a shining gem. Some people say it was a window. But the tzohar is something that gives light. What do you know of that gives light that that the Torah calls yitzhar? Oil, the olive oil. Right? This is what you grow in the land of Israel. We went to pick olives. You weren't here, Gedalia. You weren't here yet. You missed it. You did plenty of olive picking. In the Golan. Okay, good. So this is the 3 special products that the Torah speaks about that have an elevated status. Dagan, we don't just eat the raw wheat berries or barley, right? We cook them or we grind them into flour and make bread from them. It has a special bracha. We dealt that yesterday. Sometimes it's hadama, sometimes shahakol, sometimes mizonot, and sometimes hamotzi. Wow, it's such a special food. The wine also. We said if you just eat the grape, it's bar pre-8. If you process it, it becomes bar pre-gafen. Yitzhar, there's no special bracha. If you eat an olive, it has to be cured. You can't eat it raw. If you eat a raw olive, I think you wouldn't make any bracha. It doesn't taste good. It's not really considered food. Maybe some people do it, I don't know, you'd make a shakol, but that's not the normal way of eating olives. Normal way is when it's cured, when it's ready, and then you make a bar preit. Like every other fruit, when it's ripe, when it's ready to be eaten, you make a bar preit. But when you turn it into oil, we don't usually drink oil. We put it into our food. We don't drink it as a standalone drink. Nobody says, let's have a cup of wine. Let's have a glass of oil. No, that's also inedible. And if you did that, I think the bracha would just be shahakol, because it's not the normal way of eating olives, excuse me. So eating olives, it's an exception that it doesn't have a special bracha. I think there was in the Gemara one opinion who had a special bracha for the oil, but we don't practice that. Anyways, back to wine. Listen to this. This you've never heard of. I'm willing to venture a guess that you've never heard this halacha. And it couldn't be practical every Shabbat. Okay. Now, Chanoch, you haven't been to a Jewish community enough to know that almost every Shabbat in some communities, what happens after shul? There's something called Kiddush. Wait, isn't Kiddush Friday night? And now I'm talking about Shabbat morning.
Yeah, Kiddush.
Another Kiddush?
Here's lunch.
There's another Kiddush, right. From the Torah, we say Kiddush is really only Friday night. And the sages say you got to have a glass of wine. But they added an additional Kiddush in the morning as well. It's so small compared to the Friday night Kiddush, which has a long bracha, that the sages decided to call this the great big Kiddush, Kiddush Rabbah. It's a euphemism. It's really tiny. It's really, there's nothing there. It's a Bar Priagafen. You say some psukim, you choose which psukim you want to say. There's traditions, of course. But you don't really have to say anything. All you have to do is make a Bar Priagafen. So they call it Kiddush Rabbah, the great Kiddush. So you make a Bar Priagafen. And then what happens afterwards? So let's say, of course, Gedalia says, well, you have to have a second meal. How many meals do you have on Shabbat?
3. 2.
How many meals do you have on Shabbat?
2.
3.
That's right. You got to have 3 meals. Friday night, the morning meal, and then the afternoon meal. 3 meals. Plus 1 on Motzei Shabbat. Amazing. So you have 3 meals. How many Kiddushes do we have?
3.
2. Some people say Kiddush and Sudash Lishit as well. It's a unique, sort of more Hasidic custom. But there also, it's just Bar Prigaf. But you must make Kiddush twice. You must make Kiddush twice. We learned about it when we learned the laws of Shabbat and the laws of Kiddush on Shabbat. But now we're just looking at it from the other aspect. Now that dovetails very nicely with, well, you need to have 2 meals and then a third meal. So the first 2 Kiddushes go with the first 2 meals. We even said that there's a halacha that the Kiddush is not considered to be valid if you don't have it at a meal. You must have it at a meal. So you have the first Kiddush when you're having Friday night dinner, and the second Kiddush when you're having the morning meal, the meal that you have when you finish davening on Shabbat morning. You go home and you have 2 breads, you have another second meal. That's when you have your cholent, right? And your kishka, and your potato kugel, and your herring and fish. Lots of good foods for Shabbat morning. Schnitzel, rice, all those good foods, the Shabbat foods. The second meal, so you have the first meal with a kiddush and the second meal with a kiddush. You have to have the kiddush at a meal. However, where do you eat your meal, Gedalia, usually? In your home. Everybody has their meals in their home. Everybody cooks their own food. Nowadays we have a kitchen, and we have a refrigerator, and we have a hot plate, and we've got all sorts of. Everybody eats with their family. That's normal, right? So everybody makes the kiddush at home. 1 at night with the nighttime meal, and 1 in the morning for the morning meal. However, where do we go to pray? What's that called in Hebrew?
Beit Knesset.
Why is it called Beit Knesset? What does that mean?
Because it's the house of gathering.
That's right. Likanes means to gather. It's a house of gathering. Who is gathering?
Hayidin.
The Yidden, the community, the Jews, the Jewish community. Did we talk before about the importance of a Jewish community? We did, didn't we? Right, Israel? Community. How do you say community in Cantonese? Do you know? You don't know. How do you say community in Cantonese? How do you say it in Mandarin? Let's ask Google. Let's ask Google. Google Translate. Community.
community is like social,
Gathering.
yeah, so, not gather, social, group, yeah.
Social group.
or
Social group.
area, yeah.
Exactly, in an area. That's what a community is. Perfect definition. C'est quoi? C'est qui? Cantonese. And what's in the Mandarin? What's in the Mandarin? Come on, Google.
It's not working.
It's not working.
Tell us the Wi-Fi.
You know Mandarin, Gedalia. What's community?
How would I ever know that?
Well, how did it? Yeah.
Even the terms,
Sushi.
Sushi? Hang on. That's why Jews love sushi.
Sushi.
Plus play.
社区
Sushi. Again.
社区
Community. So we're gathering in the community, in the Bet Knesset, to pray together. Sometimes you don't see your friend for the entire week. How do you say community in Kerala?
I just
Malayalam, how do you say it? Samuham. Okay, great. So you want to get together, and you're happy to see your friends after a whole week. Sometimes you only see them on Shabbat because during the week people go to different synagogues, people go to work early, they go to work late. Everybody has a different schedule. But on Shabbat, nobody's working, so everybody gathers in the Beit Knesset. And what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to talk to them, but you shouldn't be talking in the prayers. Shh. We're trying to pray here. You're not allowed to talk in the middle of the prayers. In the Beit Knesset, you're not allowed to have idle chatter. Somebody's reading from the Torah. You're going to have a personal conversation. No. The Gabbai will come over and say, shh. Do you know that Hebrew word? Shush. Sheket. No talking in shul. But I'm so happy to see my friend. He was in the army. He just came out of Gaza. I want to hear what happened to him. And he was, you were evacuated. There's so much going on. Of course you want to talk to your friends. So they came up with this nice idea. You know what? After the services are over, we'll have a public community sushi, or in Cantonese, seikui. We'll have a community gathering with food, so that everybody can talk to each other. Not in shul, after shul, right? You don't eat in the shul. You don't talk in the shul. You're not allowed to sleep in the shul. It's improper. Some people do it, but no. I would lash them.
Lash them?
Yeah.
So,
I take off my belt in a second.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I'm not the rabbi anymore, because it was violent. It was just not. I'm just joking, but it's a problem. People talking too much in shul. I grew up in a shul, and there was a lot of talking, and sometimes they had to stop the prayers in the middle. The rabbi would get up and wait for everybody to shut up, so that the chazan would continue. You're saying, wow, it happens until today in many, absolutely true.
Yeah.
Many times, sometimes in one half an hour service, the rabbi would have to get up, bang on the table, and wait for quiet. And then 5 minutes later, said everybody would shut up. The services have stopped. So it's impolite. So then the chazan starts again. 5 minutes later, they're talking again. He has to get up again and shut people up. It's terrible, but there is such a thing. What?
Like you're in a school,
It's like people talking in class. It's crazy. But we try to look with a good eye, positive eye, that they haven't seen their friends and they want to be social. So the rabbi will get up and say, "Listen, there's a time for prayer and there's a time for talking. After the prayers, we're going to have kiddush." Wait a minute. We're making kiddush at home when we eat our meals. Kiddush is not kosher unless you're having a meal. So, and you can't have food unless you do kiddush. So it is quite common that there's something called Kiddush, which means a little party, a little Shabbat morning party before you go home and eat your proper meal with your bread, your two breads.
I'm not sure we have like a proper meal.
Amazing. That's wonderful. So a lot of people don't have meal at home, and so why not make it in the shul? But most shuls don't have a proper meal. They have snacks.
It's
They have
like, I
snacks.
think it's probably just super tiny Jewish communities.
Yeah. Could be.
It's like the same 6 people that go every day.
Yeah. Anyways, the Kiddush is a wonderful gathering, but you have to make Kiddush first before you eat. So somebody takes a cup of wine, grape juice, whatever it is, and he says the Kiddush Rabbah, which really just consists of one bracha, Bori Pri Hagafen. It's actually quite small, but you preface it with psukim about Shabbat. And then everybody can eat, and you have to eat some mezonot, as we said the other day, for it to be kiddush b'makom su'uta. The kiddush is to be made in a place of a meal. So it's not a proper meal with bread, but it doesn't have to be. It can be if you have one of the 5 grains we talked about. You have to have some mezonot. So you have bor Pri Hagafen, and then you take a piece of cake. Wait a minute. The rabbi or someone who's leading, sometimes if someone has a bar mitzvah, he says the kiddush. Someone's getting married, he says the kiddush. You know, in some communities, wait a minute, who pays for all this? There's donations. Someone says, this is on Wednesday, it's the day that my father died, so I'm going to donate something to the Beit Knesset, I'll donate a kiddush. He'll buy the food for everybody, so they let him make the kiddush. Okay, so he holds the cup of wine, he says, Shameru b'nei Yisrael. We'll sing that in a few minutes, okay? Tomorrow maybe. Tomorrow for Shabbat, we'll sing that. Well, some people sing, some people just say it. Different psukim. He says, Bori Pri Hagafen, and he drinks, right? What about everybody else? What did we learn yesterday? You say amen. You listen and you hear amen. Do you have to drink? You don't have to. Some people like to, though. So, you don't have to drink. We talked about it. You don't have to drink. You don't have to drink from his cup. You don't have to drink from your own cup. You don't have to drink it all. As long as you heard him and he drinks, somebody has to drink a cheekful. Or a sum total of all the people that drink have to amount to a cheekful, which is not a lot. Usually the guy who says the bracha, he drinks a cheekful. And then he distributes if he wants to. At a kiddush, many people don't bother. You don't have to drink the wine. You heard him, that's it. But what you do have to do now, everybody has to pick up a piece of cake or a cookie and say the bracha, Borei minei mezonot, and eat something for it to be a meal. The kiddush is only going to be kosher if you eat something that constitutes a halachic meal, which is a mezonot. Okay, so you said Bori Pri Hagafen, or you heard Bori Pri Hagafen, and then you took a piece of cake and you said your Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei minei mezonot, and you have a bite. You have a kazait, okay? You should have a kazait, the size of an olive. What else? What else do you eat? What else do you do at a kiddush?
Sing.
Sometimes you sing, not always. Usually you talk to your friends, but what else? What other food is there?
Tuna.
Tuna.
Tuna, olive.
Tuna, olives, cholent sometimes. Wow, that's a really nice kiddush if they bring you hot cholent. Egg salad, right?
And like 2 different.
A black thing? What's a black thing?
I don't know the name.
What does it taste like?
I don't like it.
Where have you had
Black food? What's black food?
What's the texture?
Is it a fruit, a vegetable? What is black?
It's good. Like,
Maybe you mean liver?
no.
No. What's a black thing? Eggs? I don't know. What else do you have at a kiddush? What do the kids like at a kiddush?
Coca-Cola.
No, we don't.
Coca-Cola. What else?
Bamba.
Juice. Bamba.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Sometimes there's a bottle of whiskey or some other kind of liquor. It's nice. Careful not to get drunk, right? We talked about that earlier.
Actually,
Okay. They have their own levels of alcohol intake, and they're enthusiastic about the alcohol. But So you're eating lots of different foods. Whatever they decide to buy for that time. Sometimes there's wafers. Have you seen wafers? Pretzels. Have you seen? Sometimes fish. Have you seen herring? Herring with crackers. Well, the crackers, the mezonot, pretty good, and you have a little piece of herring with it. Some people like that. It's an Eastern European food.
Yes, that's pickled herring.
Pickled herring, huh? Dag maluach, exactly. That's what it's called in Hebrew. Anyways, and sometimes there's kugel. Kugel. There's what are the two types of kugel?
In yeshiva, it's often I think it's because of it's with sugar.
What is kugel? What is kugel?
It's like a pasta king catch.
So kugel means like a casserole. What's it usually made out of? There's two major kinds that you're going to encounter in the Jewish world. One is pasta kugel, which is made from noodles. And here in Israel, they make something called Yerushalmi kugel. You can make it other places too. But Yerushalmi kugel is a very special type of pasta kugel, pasta like dish, which they like caramelize sugar in a pot. And then you mix in the pasta, the noodles, and you let it sit for hours, and it comes out really good, really delicious. A sweet pasta dish.
That's why ours is black.
That's it becomes because the caramelized sugar. If you leave it for too long, it's an art to know how much it could burn very easily. So that's why you don't like it because you didn't have good one. If you had a good Yerushalmi kugel, then you'd know. I mean, some of them they're like thick. They make them in these pots, which are very thick, and then they slice them.
Pretty solid.
It's amazing. It's a wonderful stuff. So that's one type of kugel called Yerushalmi kugel. What's the bracha on that? Why? It's made with pasta. Pasta is made with flour. Flour from the 5 grades, from the wheat usually. So of course, bracha is mezonot. Sorry? Right, very good. There's another type of kugel, which is very popular. It's not sweet usually. It can be sweet, but it's not usually. Potato kugel. You take potatoes, you slice them up, you peel them, of course, and you grate them. Usually, it's grated potatoes, and then you add an egg and you put it in the oven, and it cooks. It's usually salty. And it's delicious. Potato kugel is one of my favorite. Sometimes I can't have it.
Is it?
Not covered with egg. The egg's inside. That's what sticks it together. Makes it stick. So usually they have eggs inside, and I have an allergy to eggs now. So, but you can make it without eggs. So I look for those. I look for the ingredients. But anyways, potato kugel. What's the bracha on potato kugel? Kugel just means this dish. What's potato kugel? The bracha? Ha'adama. Sometimes they put in a little bit of flour because it helps it stick together. What's the bracha then? Still ha'adama. Remember we said that's the one exception. That if the flour is added only to stick things together, it's not for the taste, so then it's usually they don't have any flour, which is good for my daughter and grandson now who aren't allowed to have any flour from wheat, from regular flour. So it's gluten free. Sometimes it's gluten free. Sometimes it's not. It depends on the recipe. But most potato kugel, I'd say, is without flour. And so the bracha is ha'adama, for pre-adama. Wait a minute. Can you see potatoes there? I mean, pretty much 99% of the ingredients is potatoes. And if you shred it, if you grate it, you can actually see pieces of potato. It depends how finely grated it is. But I think the standard consensus is the bracha is ha'adama. Okay, great. And the truth is, the standard, I'm teaching you Jewish lore here. When you have a Yerushalmi kugel, you have to have something with it. What do you have with it on the plate? Usually they have pickles. A pickle. Pickle goes really well with Yerushalmi kugel. Also with potato kugel, but it's not as critical. The classic is you get a slice of this brown pasta kugel called Yerushalmi kugel. If it's made very well, you'll like it. And you have and usually it's a little bit savory. Usually it has some pepper in it, and so the pickle sort of offsets the taste. It's very nice. Anyway, so you've had a lice kiddush. I want to teach you a very unique halacha that you've never heard before. You're a little thirsty if you have all that salty stuff, salty potato cocoa. What do you drink? Water? Coca-Cola? What else? Huh? Maybe. Arak? Maybe you'll have some arak. Very nice. What else do you drink? Sometimes they have drinks. Beer. Juice. What kind of juice? Orange juice? Mango juice. All kinds of different kinds of things. Carbonated drinks. Pepsi. 7-Up. Schweppes. Ooh. There used to be no Coca-Cola. There was only ginger ale. Remember that? It's an acquired taste. I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know.
There was no Coca-Cola?
It wasn't popular yet. Ginger ale is much older than Coca-Cola. It existed before Coca-Cola was invented.
You're talking about this back in the States? Or?
Yeah, in America, yeah. Ginger ale, whatever it is, there's drinks. So now, let's go back to the beginning. You heard Kiddush, right? Did you drink the wine? Let's say you didn't drink the wine, because you weren't near the guy. There's 50 people at the Kiddush. Not a small town like Toledo. There's 50 people at the Kiddush. There's 100 people. Sometimes there's 200 people at the Kiddush. In my shul, there's 200 people, including all the kids and women. Of course, there's maybe 300 people. Is everybody going to get a little bit of grape juice or wine from the man who says Kiddush? No. Do they have to? No. They have to hear. And usually when you hear, you say amen, but you don't. You fulfilled your mitzvah of Kiddush by hearing it. You have to have some mezonot, so take a piece of Yerushalmi kugel. Have a cracker, then you have some bamba, some bisli. You have some, then you're thirsty, so you take a drink of water. You like Coke, you have a drink of Coke. So, what did you make a bracha on? You make a bracha on mezonot. And then you had some potato kugel, and you could see pieces of potatoes in there. So that's hadama. And then you had a drink of the water, so you said shakol. Ha'etz, if they have olives there, so you say ha'etz. Watermelon, that's hadama. Wonderful. Sometimes they serve that in season. Wonderful. Are you getting hungry yet?
Yes.
Good. Because you didn't have a proper breakfast, because you got up late. Did you say page 10? Birkot HaTorah, did you say page 10? You better say it now if you didn't. You did, Baruch Hashem. In any case, what's the bracha? On all these things we learned, right? We know what those, you can say 5 brachot at a Kiddush. Isn't that nice? It's amazing. Now, this is the tricky part. Wine is very special. It's such a special, it's the most special beverage. It's just like bread. Bread is a very special food, right? What did we say? Let's say you're in Toledo, Ohio, and they serve you challah. They serve you a little bilkalach. You know what a bilkalach in Yiddish is? It's a little bun. It's a little roll. The roll. Individual rolls. Because people, they don't know about Torah. They don't know that they have to go home and have 2 chalot in the morning as well. Maybe they heard about it. They only do it Friday night. But the rabbi wants them to have a proper second meal in the morning. So he brings bread to the Kiddush. Kiddush turns into a Seudah, Shabbat meal. So of course the bread, you make a Motzi Lechem Min Haaretz, and then you don't say a bracha on the bamba, fish, watermelon, kugel, everything, nothing else. The one bracha covers everything else, because Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz, that's the staple of life. It's the most important bracha. It covers bread, but it covers all foodstuffs, right? Except for wine, right? Guess what? There is a similar halacha about wine. That if you drink a cup of wine and you say bar pirgaf on a cup of wine, and then you want to have a drink of water because you don't want the alcohol to go to your head and you don't want to get a hangover, right? When you drink alcohol, you have to drink lots of water also. Or just because you also like Coke, or your kids like Coke, whatever it is. You don't make a bracha, shehakol niyeh bidvaro, on the water. See, I surprised you. I got you. Nobody knew that. You knew that? You knew that. I thought I would get you. but you don't know the rules. The rules, sort of, I have to walk it back a little bit. So if you didn't have bread, so then you're making all these different brachos, mezonot and hadama, and then when you drink water, you say shakol. No, you don't. You don't say the shakol on your ginger ale. You don't say the shakol on your orange juice, because you said bar priya gafen at the beginning of kiddush. It's a cool halacha to know. But the conditions are, number one, you have to have drunk from the wine yourself. Here, it's not good enough just to be hearing somebody else. If you just heard somebody else and then you want to have a drink of Coke, you do have to say the shahako. If you heard somebody's bar pergafen and you had a little bit of drink of wine, some poskim say you have to have a cheekful of wine. And then that covers every other beverage. Bar pergafen is sort of like hamotzi lechem min haaretz in that way. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz covers all foods, and bar pergafen covers all beverages. But the conditions are only if you actually partook of the wine, a little bit of the wine or grape juice yourself. Then don't say another shahako when you get to your soda water or whatever it is you like to drink. Okay? So the beverages and foods. Foods are covered by hamotzi lechem min haaretz, and beverages are covered by borei pri hagafen. Borei pri hagafen is such a special central type of beverage that it subsumes all other consuming of beverages for the rest of the meal, for the rest of the eating session. And we did say also that if you do have, even if you have hamotzi lechem min haaretz and then you have a glass of wine, you should say bar pri hagafen. The hamotzi lechem min haaretz covers all types of foods, but not this special beverage. It even covers the Coca-Cola and the orange juice, but it doesn't cover wine. Wine, you still say bar pri hagafen if you have it in the middle of the meal and you have not said it before the meal, like usually you say it before the meal for the kiddush. Okay, so that's a special law about the borei pri hagafen. It's so powerful, it can subsume other beverages with that bracha, borei pri hagafen. Is that clear? Yeah, question?
What about the special bracha on yang?
That's what we're going to get to now. First, we're going to pray for our soldiers and hostages. Okay? Page 231.
I have a question.
Yeah, question. Go ahead.
I think I asked this before, but I don't remember. Let's say Shabbat morning, I came back, I did the kiddush, and I started the meal. But let's say my daughter came in late. So can I just say borei pri hagafen? That's all. Okay, is that the kiddush?
Yes, it's very unique. Actually, usually, there's such a thing that you can make a bracha to assist someone else who doesn't know how to make it themselves. So it's like for any mitzvah, they need to do a mitzvah, but they don't know how to say the bracha, so you say it for them. Like blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Somebody hasn't heard shofar, so you can make the bracha for their fulfilling the mitzvah. It's because we're all part of one big family, we're guarantors for each other. It's called arvut in Hebrew. Arevim, kol Yisrael arevim ze lazeh. It means we're guarantors for each other. There's a halachic gratification. You can make brachot for others. The exception, though, is brachos on food. He's going to eat. You can't make borei minei mezonot. You have to be eating yourself. And then, if you're eating and he is also eating, he can listen and fulfill his obligation by listening to you. However, the one exception to that exception is kiddush. Because when you make a borei pri hagafen for kiddush, it's not only a bracha on the wine, it's also making kiddush for Shabbat. It's part of the mitzvah of sanctifying Shabbat. So for Friday night, you have two brachot. You have the bracha on the wine and you have the bracha mekadesh Shabbat. So it's clear. But the bracha borei pri hagafen, the poskim say yes, you can assist somebody else fulfill their obligation to have kiddush by saying borei pri hagafen a second time. Even though you already said it for yourself, you had a drink of wine. You say borei pri hagafen for them. Usually you'll say a pasuk or two about Shabbat. my father used to say the last section of the verse. Al kein berach Hashem es yom Shabbos v'yikadsheu. That was it. That was his whole Shabbat morning. The last half a verse. Therefore, God blessed the Sabbath and made it holy. Savri Miranan, with permission of my rabbis and colleagues. And the Baruch Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Baruch Agafen. That was a very short kiddush, 2 lines. One line, Al Kein Berach Hashem. I'll show it to you in a second, at the appropriate time. And then Baruch Agafen. So, a couple weeks ago, one of you was here at my house. Were you at my house? One of my students was over for Shabbat, I think. They're not in this class now. Maybe it was one of our alumni. And I had invited guests in addition to the students. And it's very interesting. It happened to be that one was a divorcee and one is a widow and a divorcee. But they all came and, we said, okay, we're going to eat lunch at 12. 12 o'clock comes. 12:15 comes. So, okay, other people are here. They're hungry. So we decided to start. Okay. So we start. I say, make the kiddush. We sing. V'sham, Ruben, Yisrael. And then I recite from the 10 Commandments. Zachor, Yom Shabbat HaKadsho. It's here on page, everybody open up to page 500 and 649, actually. 650. 650 and 651. You see the 2 passages which are usually said for the Kiddush on Shabbat morning. That's what the title of the page says on page 650, Shabbat morning Kiddush. 650. Go to 650. First passage comes from Exodus chapter 31, Lamed Aleph. Very good. And the second passage starts with the word Zachor from Exodus 20. You see, there's 2 different passages about the Shabbat. The second one is from the 10 Commandments. And the end of it is, therefore, Al Kain, the last line of that passage is, therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and declared it holy. Al Kain Berach Hashem Yom Shabbos HaKadsho. That's what my father would say for Kiddush on Shabbos morning. 1 line. And then, Baruch Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Baruch Agafen, as you can see here. Very short. Some people say 10 lines, 15 lines, 2 paragraphs. Some people sing, whatever it is. That's Kiddush in the morning. That's it. It's Baruch Agafen. At the end of the day, the bracha part is only the Baruch Agafen. So this is what we did. I'm telling you a story. Yisrael, you weren't there? You were not there? Maybe you were there. I can't remember. So we would do the Kiddush. We sing V'sham Ruben Yisrael at the top of the page. Top of page 651. Do you know the song? Et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Berit Olam Beini V'Bnei Yisrael Oti Leolam Ki Sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai et HaShamayim V'et Haaretz Uvayom HaShevi Shabbat Vayinaf. Sometimes I'm hungry, so I skip the next paragraph and I go Savrim Aram Rabbi. Drink the wine. Give out the wine. Everybody has a drink. And then, wouldn't you know it, knock on the door. One of the guests come. And now I don't want to embarrass them that they'll feel that they're late. So I said, perfect! You came just in time for Kiddush. I didn't bat an eyelash. Nobody else gave it away. And we said, V'sham Ruben. And we started singing again. And again I said, I filled up my cup of wine without her looking. And I said, again, Baruch Agafen. Wait a minute, I just said Baruch Agafen. You can say it again. For her sake.
How many times?
To help her. And then we finish. We're about to go wash our hands. I'm telling you the absolute truth. This happened about a month ago. And the second woman comes in. And I say to everybody, We're just about to make Kiddush. You came right on time, because I don't want them to feel bad and embarrassed that they came late. And this time I said the second paragraph. I didn't sing it. I think this time I just said Zachor. And again I said on her behalf. That you're allowed to do, even though it's a Pregafen is actually a blessing on the food, because it's being used here as a mitzvah to recite the Kiddush, to sanctify the Shabbat on a cup of wine on Shabbat morning. So you're allowed to do that for Kiddush. And people go around the hospitals. I don't know if you've ever seen this. If you've been in the hospital, a lot of Jews in the hospital, and they're lying in bed and nobody's visiting them. It's Shabbat. Maybe they don't have family. There's some tzaddikim. They walk around the hospitals with a cup of wine and say, "Would you like to make kiddush?" Sometimes they'll give them a little bottle of grape juice, not wine usually in the hospital, because it could interfere with the medicines, whatever. So they give out grape juice, and sometimes the people are just so sick they can't do it themselves. So the volunteer is walking around from bed to bed. "Would you like me to say kiddush for you?" So he takes this, and if they get a yes, they fill up a cup of wine, and they say part of this. If you look on the previous page 649, some people have a preamble of even more passages, one from Isaiah, one from Tehillim. Mizmor LeDavid, you might know it, 23. Right? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Perhaps one of the most famous Tehillim. Some people say that before Kiddush on Shabbat morning. Anyways, and then he says, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Gafen, and he drinks it. But the person who's in the hospital bed, maybe he'll take a sip, maybe he won't. But he heard it, and he got Kiddush. It'd really be best if he had something to eat afterwards. He probably gives him a cookie or something like that, if that's not unhealthy for the patient. And then he says, Shabbat Shalom, feel better, Refuah Shlema. And he moves to the next room. And he says, Shabbat Shalom, I have here a bottle of grape juice. Would you like to make Kiddush? Because he wants to spread, he's a missionary, right? he wants people to keep the mitzvot. So most people, it's a little tricky because, if he's an Arab, or a Christian, then doesn't need Kiddush, so he won't know what's flying. But if he's a Jew, he says, you're too sick, would you like me to make Kiddush for you? Another cup of, it's another reason why he's good, he's having grape juice, not wine. Another cup. Goes through 100 rooms, making another bar pregafen, another bar pregafen, another bar pregafen, because he's making Kiddush on their behalf. And you're allowed to do that. You're assisting another Jew who you're a guarantor for. Midin arevim. Kol Yisrael arevim zelazan. Arev is a guarantor. Arvut, guarantorship, is a basic principle. So yes, that's allowed.
How about Havdalah, Rob? Let's say I've done the Havdalah.
Also, you can do it again. If it's a mitzvah, not just.
Repeat the whole process again? Or
Sure, why not?
Just say
Sure, why not? The whole thing. Why not? The whole thing. Yeah.
What if it's on Shabbat night?
Also,
Yeah.
why not? Even more so. Shabbat night, it's even clearer that it's a mitzvah. It's a bracha, which is a mitzvah, right? Because it's mekadesh Shabbat at the end. So you could do kiddush 100 times, as long as there's somebody who has not yet fulfilled his obligations. You're going to help him do that. Question? You're okay.
Kiddush Rabbi?
That's what it's called. That's why I said it means great. The great kiddush.
But this is just one of the options.
This is the morning kiddush, according to different traditions. Some people say more of these verses.
It's just one of the verses you can say.
That's right. Some people, it's a beautiful pasuk about Shabbat from Yeshayahu. Also the two passages, one from Shmot Lamed Aleph, one from Shmot Chaf, from the Ten Commandments. Those are other options. But there's no real regimented, you must say this verse or that verse. You have to say something about Shabbat. That's why you're making Kiddush. And then you have a cup of wine. Okay, is that clear? Yes, Yisrael.
The Sephardi and the Ashkenaz, it is make the man standing or sitting. Somebody
It's a good question. Ideally, you should be sitting for kiddush because it's part of your meal, right? You only make kiddush at a meal, and you sit down for a meal. That's what defines it as a meal, that you sit together to eat. But there is a tradition. My father would stand for the kiddush, and it's a sign of respect for the kiddush. There's another reason why it starts off with the name of God, so that's why some people stand for the kiddush. Some people stand for the first half and then sit down for the second half. In the daytime, there's no real good justification for standing, but so I sit, but my father would stand. There's different customs. Okay, page 231.
is the custom.
It's custom, different customs, yeah. It's better halachically to sit. If you don't have any other custom, I suggest you sit for the kiddush, yeah. For Friday night, you could stand for the beginning and then sit down. But that's ideal. Okay? Page 231. 231, you have it? 231? Okay, start us off.
On this video online, I saw a video last night of like hundreds of soldiers singing just like that. So it was like soldiers from Gaza and everybody singing. It was like so powerful.
This was in Gaza.
So I read it like all of the army is singing this right now. Everybody's singing this all the time.
They sing it in the hotel during the Tisha B'Av, night of Tisha B'Av also. Oh, there was an interesting news that the Israeli officials are talking with one of the African countries, Congo, to put all the Palestinians, all the
Everything they did for what they did in Congo.
diamonds.
No, lithium. Yeah. Carbon and chloride.
People with local different countries, if they need.
Heart of Darkness
Yeah.
by Joseph Conrad.
Is the yeah, why it's called the Heart of Darkness?
Yeah.
Because of what Belgium did.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, like, it's also. I mean, it's like a novel, like history, visual literature class.
In AP?
Literature.
What's AP?
It's advanced placement.
Oh.
Like his heart is dark, but also it's because of the darkness of the Belgian colonization.
His heart is about King April.
Hey.
No, not the. Who's the guy? The terror, the terror. Yeah, that's like the very famous line. The terror, the terror. When the guy is dying, the person that we're looking for.
In Congo?
You missed.
No, the hard drug.
Yes, I'm not gonna catch.
You've never read the book?
No.
Oh.
He's from England.
Yeah.
He's uncultured, you know.
It's a great book. I recommend it.
Which book?
Hard drug.
Of course.
Of
course.
Rabbi.
Conrad.
I said,
Read it in high school. What?
I said your halachic question.
You did. Excellent. Wonderful question. Did you send it to the group, to the entire group? Wonderful. So the picture looked like a bag of croutons. We talked about croutons yesterday. Were you here yesterday? You were away. You missed so much. I know you went all the way to the north and back. Wow, good for you. Welcome back. You got your stuff?
I have all my stuff.
All right.
Much stuff.
Too much stuff.
Not enough space.
That's Americans
I
for
have
you.
no idea where I'm gonna put any of my like where do I store it? It's just like sitting in the room.
All right. I'll have to figure it out. But yes, sir.
Do you remember Nathan?
Which Nathan?
El Nathan.
El Nathan, of course, yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
they lost the election in Congo.
It's written something.
Of course.
No,
It's not surprising.
I'm sure.
Of course they lost.
I checked it.
Who thought they would ever win?
Them?
Okay. Anyways, that's I'm sorry. I'm sorry for them. They had hopes. But strange thing to
Yeah.
a rabbi to be running to be the president of Congo.
What?
Yes, this is.
Why?
Life
Oh,
is stranger than
it's
than fiction. What?
The millionaire is also a mining mogul.
Not that I know of.
No.
That's I think not in Congo.
Argentina?
That's somewhere else.
Oh.
Nearby, near Congo. Okay. Anyways. Tov. Anyways, back to the laws of wine and grape juice. What's the after bracha? What's the after bracha? Me'ein shalosh is the better way to say it, right? Because me'ein shalosh refers to the bracha in a general term. The specific words ala mechia are not going to appear. Right? We saw that when we were learning about the me'ein shalosh bracha, that there's a version for wine, for eating wine, drinking wine, or grape juice. So you make the al hagefen ve'al pri hagefen, that's the beginning of it and at the end of it. Is that clear? Okay. Now, this is the fun. The bracha that Eov has been asking about. Wine is so special. If you look on page 1081, sometimes you make a second bracha if you have another type of wine. So you made the bar pri gafen on the first type of wine, and you had such a nice big party that you finished off all the wine. Let's say you had a nice Cabernet, Sauvignon, and it was so delicious, it got all finished. But you're still thirsty. So the Balabite brings out a nice Merlot. Some people, Mont Blanc, whatever it is. It's dessert time, he brings out a port, whatever it is. A different type of wine. Okay? Different people like it. It's for dessert, it's okay. Okay, you guys know your stuff. You should be telling me. He's a diploma in wine. So the halacha says that your bar pri gafen covers it. Of course, you were thinking of when you made the bar pri gafen, it's about all the wine that the balabite's gonna serve you. And if you're the balabite, of course you intend that whatever food I'm gonna eat now, whatever I have in the house is part of my brachot. You don't limit it usually. So your bar pri gafen still works. So it hasn't expired. So you bring out the second bottle. Do you have to make another bracha? you don't make another Bor Priagafen. But what I'm teaching you now is that the rabbis were so excited by the wine, they said that if it's a wine that has a different taste, better usually, but we're going to see that some poskim say, even if it's not better quality, the fact that it's distinctive and it has a different taste, that might be enough. You make a second bracha. Which bracha it is? On page 1081, bracha number 4. Look on page 1081, bracha number 4. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, hatov v'hametiv. Here, the preamble says, on hearing good news, from which others, as well as oneself, will benefit. That's true. The bracha is used instead of shehechianu, which is in another place. When you hear good news, which is only good for you, you say shehechianu. When it's good news for others as well as oneself, so you say the hatov v'hametiv. But we also utilize this same bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, hatov v'hametiv, who is good and does good. Who is good and does good. We do that because of the double language. It's like, well, the first wine was good, and now he doubles up his goodness by giving us an even different tasting wine, better tasting wine. So there's a bracha that is said on a second type of wine that's brought. You don't need another Bor Priagafen, but you should say a second bracha on the better type of wine, hatov v'hametiv. Usually, it's best one person says it for the entire table. But if you didn't hear, you weren't listening, you can say it yourself. Before you take a drink of that second type of wine, you say hatov v'hametiv. And then, let's say, what happens next is that this is a big party. Another bottle. You finish the second bottle, and you want to bring out a third bottle, and this time you are bringing another type. Petit Syrah. Petit Syrah. Or whatever. Give me another name of a type of grape. Shiraz. So, the halacha is, before you take a sip, you say, once again, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, hatov v'hametiv. That's the basic law of hatov v'hametiv, specifically for wine, not for any other food stuff, not for any other beverage, only for wine. If you have a different type of better quality or different type of quality, you say hatov v'hametiv. But here comes the rules. Here comes the conditions. Are you ready, Yov? Be with me, because now we're going to have the conditions. You're looking up different types of wine. You're trying to remember what you forgot from school. No, okay. There's some conditions. Number one, doesn't apply if you're drinking by yourself. Well, you shouldn't be drinking by yourself anyways. We said that before, right? Never, buddy system. You have to have together with a party. Also, the tov v'hametiv is sort of like it does good for us. It's sort of like it's a social bracha. So you have to be in the party of at least 2 people. That's one condition, number one. Condition number 2, some people say, is the wine was not on the table when you said your original bracha. Some people say the wine shouldn't even be in your house when you made the first Bar Priagafen on the first type of wine. The second type of wine has to be out of the house. Some people put it on their porch. And then you bring it in, then you can make a bracha on the new wine that wasn't here before, and this is a different quality, a higher quality, hatov v'hametiv. Some people say, other condition, some people say it has to be of a higher quality. If it's the same and different, it's good enough. But if it's of an inferior quality, then you don't make the bracha, hatov v'hametiv. You're not increasing the joy. It's a decreasing. So if you just have some cheap wine after you had some expensive wine, usually the price reflects of how tasty it is. Not always. It could be different tastes for different, different strokes for different folks. Some people like port, some people don't, apparently. But if it's clearly of an inferior quality, then you cannot make this bracha. So what turns out is that there are poskim who say, I think Chabadnikim are part of them. I'm not sure. There are some poskim who say there's just too many doubts about this bracha. Wait a minute. Was it out of the house? No, usually it's not out of the house. It was in the closet or in the wine cellar. Wine cellar, that's a different house. So that only if it comes from the wine cellar, then you make that Tova Meiti. But I don't have a wine cellar. I just have a closet. I have the wine, in the cupboard. Right, or in the fridge, wherever it is. Take it out. That doubtful whether you can make a bracha on it. Then, I don't know, is this better wine or worse? Okay, this costs 25 shekels, this costs 30 shekels, this costs 35. Not a major difference. I don't know that it's necessarily better. It's just, and do I really notice the difference between a Cabernet and a Merlot? A lot of people don't know the difference. They're not experts on wine. So that's another doubt. And then, so there's a lot of doubt. So some rabbis have the custom never to make this bracha, pretty much, on wine, on a better quality wine. There are people that are Machon Meir about that. Rav Melamed, I was learning before, he says, what are you writing a bracha out of the books? I mean, it's on the books. There is a bracha for a higher quality wine. It's got to apply sometime, or, what's it there for? So he says, you should, don't worry about all those doubts. You can't catch all the opinions. There are many opinions. The majority of the opinions of the poskim, they don't go crazy. They don't say it has to be out of the house. They don't say that it has to be of a noticeable, better quality. It just has to be of a different quality. And it adds to your joy. You make the bracha hatov v'hameitiv. And even if some people say, okay, so you should be Machon Meir, don't bring out the second bottle together with the third bottle. Second bottle is there, you make hatov v'hameitiv on it, and then you finish the second bottle, you want a third. So then you make another hatov v'hameitiv. If the third bottle was all on the table, there's some people that are Machon Meir, that, it's all one, it's all considered to be the same, and it's not necessarily a second stage of a better wine. So Rav Melamed is in favor of saying the bracha more often. Other poskim are more reticent from saying this bracha. I think it makes a lot of sense what Rav Melamed says. Okay? Question? Yeah.
Does it depend on your intention? If you're intending to open the second bottle of wine, if you're only intending to open one bottle of wine, and then
it's a good question. I don't think so. Well, the difference between bottle 2 and 3, that makes sense. Because the hatov v'hameitiv is for a higher quality wine. But between 1 and 2, between Borei Pri Hagafen and hatov v'hameitiv, doesn't matter whether you intended to or not, if it's a better quality wine, there's a bracha for that. Yeah, it adds to your enjoyment. So you add to the praise of God for an additional enjoyment, additional level of enjoyment. Okay, what else do I have to tell you about the bracha hatov v'hameitiv? Has anybody here said the bracha hatov v'hameitiv? Never. They don't do it.
They also don't drink wine.
They don't drink wines.
They drink bashi.
Yeah, the sweet Kiddush wine. Right.
yes, it's not.
But they go heavy on the vodka or the arak here in Israel. The arak. Yeah. What's arak made from?
Anise.
Grapes.
No. Anise. Anise.
Anise is the flavor. It's made from the skins of grapes that have been used.
No. Not the ones they sell here. The arak sold here is made from anise is licorice.
It's like a flower.
It's a flower that tastes like licorice, right? It's anise. People, but if you make it from wine, then maybe it should be Borei Pri Hagafen. Brandy's made from wine. If
That's the flavor.
you could have many different flavored arak. But the base is
Yeah, it's
made
also
from.
made from grapes.
It's made from grapes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Originally, it's like you make the wine. That's the best. Then you take the mash, and you boil it, and there's more sugar, so that becomes alcohol, and you distill it. And Europeans make brandy, and the Turks make arak. They flavored it with.
Right. So, what's the bracha on brandy? Where's your bracha book? Binyamin, you have a bracha book? Did you bring your book about brachot?
I think so.
You think so? Great, so pull it out. And you have your Google open? Google, bracha on brandy. Do it. It'll be there. Shako. But it's wine. It's changed so much. It's probably less than 50%.
Because it's distilled, Machon.
It's distilled, so is wine.
It's the vapor that comes in.
The vapor, I see. You don't have it today? All right, well, we asked Rabbi Google. He says shahako. Vermouth is more than 50% wine. And I think the bracha is Gor Pregafen. Martini's not more than 50% wine. It's more alcohol and stuff. That's right. You guys know your drinks, huh? Anyways, one day, I'm calling you Aaron. I don't know why. Aaron Eov is gonna give us a wine tasting, right? Teach us about the different wines. When you get a job. Okay, we're gonna get you a job. Finish what you're doing here. Nobody's gonna hire you unless you're an Orthodox Jew to handle wine. Right? Because that's what makes wine kosher or not kosher, is whether it's handled by a non-Jew or, because the sages' strictures in Batayim, they let you? Because you did a special thing there, yeah. Okay. Bezrat Hashem. He did a gior. He did a pirate gior. He did a pirate gior.
What was the job? No, like harvesting, then doing the crushing.
Sure, people have a lot of wineries, a lot of boutique wineries in Israel that they need a lot of good workers. You just got to become Jewish and Orthodox. But other than that, we're all right. Okay, so those are the laws of wine. We'll stop here for today. So Hashem, we still have a few other brachot to talk about.